put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show. This morning we have a very special interview for you. I am going to be doing this interview with my colleague, Mr. Doing this.
It's a pleasure as usual.
Yes, of
and
course.
I love your purple, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I kind of wondering if it's because of the
phone case.
Well, because of the interview now.
The purple.
Yeah.
What correlation does it have?
I thought that the World Down Syndrome Day has color. I thought it was purple.
Oh. I don't think so, does it? Is there a specific color for World Down Syndrome Day?
Well, we will find out.
Okay, so we have our interviews here with us this morning. So you could just introduce yourselves. Tell the viewers who you are.
Oh, my name is Sherma Alexander. I am a teacher at Signal Hill Government Primary School.
What is your name, darling?
Naimah Dempster.
All right, nice to meet you. And good morning.
I am Avian Dempster. I'm Naimah's mom.
All right.
Very pleased to meet all of you. Yeah. So we could start with you, Miss Alexander. Can you tell us a little bit about World Down Syndrome Day? And within your definition, you could also tell us a little bit about Down syndrome and what exactly it is.
World Down Syndrome Day, to me, I'm not in the field as a professional in that area, but as much as I can say is when the world and bringing awareness to children especially, and even people of the difference that we all have, we are all not the same, and helping us to appreciate each other and our differences. So as we are in school, I'm a teacher by profession, and yesterday not just on Friday, we had our neighboring school, Happy Haven. They came across and they took pictures with the children. They did a brief interview with them, talking to them about Down syndrome, what it really is, and the clinical part of it, and teaching the children that they need to appreciate everyone, even if we are different. So I think World Down Syndrome Day is bringing awareness to children. In my field, we'll say more to children and even the wider world about our unique friends and how we must appreciate them.
All right. So my question to you is, just a simple question, just to get to know you a bit more. Where do you teach, and what is your experience like teaching where you teach?
Well, let me go back to where I used to teach. Mm-hmm. I taught at Table Peace Government Primary for a number of years. There's where I met Naimah. In fact, before even meeting Naimah, I remember her mom and I are good friends. When Naimah was born, she called me over and she was sad and depressed and all of that when she recognized that she had a beautiful baby with Down syndrome. And I did not even see that. I just saw a child, and a beautiful child. Mm. And I started, from then we created this bond. And because of where they live, I remember my principal came and she asked if I would be comfortable accepting a child with Down syndrome in my class, because I'm an infant teacher, infant one teacher. So most times the children meet me before they go on to the...
So you're a teacher at a primary school that is not catered for special needs children at all?
It's not. We practice inclusion. In all the schools I know, we practice inclusion where we have these children in the system as much as possible, along with other children living with disabilities. We try to include them. As a matter of fact, when Naimah came in, when I was at Table Peace, because they asked about experience, in that particular year, I had a child that was hearing impaired. I had one that was visually impaired. I had a child with cerebral palsy, and I also had a child with Down syndrome. And one way in which we can reach many of these children is by a term called differentiated instructions, meaning the content of the lesson is the same, but the delivery and the activities planned would be different. So even in the school that I was at Table Peace, and now I'm at Signal Hill, if we have children with these disabilities, when all the other children are tracing the number 5, we find a different activity for them. They would either stick or color or so, because we have to include them and still allow them to have the opportunity to learn. So I practiced differentiated instructions, and I know many teachers out there do as well, so that we can have our boys and girls be a part of the activity.
Okay, I love that you talked about inclusion, and you also mentioned that you taught children who were visually impaired and hearing impaired.
Yes.
Recently in the news, we saw parents of deaf students. They were talking about their children's opportunity at doing the SEA exam and it being unfair. What are your thoughts on that situation? Do you think it's a fair process in terms of children who are differently able having a fair chance at the SEA exam? What do you think can be done to assist in that process?
They have, I think it's concession, they call it, where they have, if we recognize that the child in the system has a disability or needs further assistance in some way or the other, that child will be referred. And then on the day of the exam, they will have that child in a specific area and with an examiner, and that child will have sometimes extra time to do it. I have seen it. I was asked to do it at one time. So yes, and I know that many of the children, especially those who are hearing impaired and they cannot understand very well when we speak, it's difficult for them. So I will advocate for teachers being a little bit more educated and for little workshops, more workshops to be done so that we teachers can be able to interact with our boys and girls and help them to understand. Another example is in my class at school, my cleaner is deaf, all right? She's deaf. So I recognize that my class, if I have to communicate with her, it's difficult. So I myself went and learned sign language so that I can be able to communicate with her. I mean, I did level 1 and I'm going on to level 2. So when we have to speak and I have to say, clean the toilet, I'll clean the toilet. And most of the teachers will come across and ask me to tell her this or say that. So I think if we have like workshops to sensitize and to educate teachers and those in the environment about how to connect and communicate with these people, even children who are special, they would be able to fit in and be included nicely. The transition will be smooth, even for the SEA exam.
Now, Ms. Alexander, I really love how inclusive you are. You went and you took time to learn sign language. I think that's very, very important. And that's very, very commendable as well.
Thank you.
What has your experience been like with your students? You said you have a cleaner who is deaf, and you also taught Naimah when she was at the infant level at table piece.
Yes.
What has your experience been like with children? How do they react in situations like that? Because, I mean, you said we have to have workshops for teachers, which I think is very important. But at the level of the children, you know that children can be very blunt. They say what they think, they say what they feel. How do you teach a child then to be inclusive, to accept that this is the situation? And, how do you go about doing that?
Strangely, I think personally, what I've seen in my years of teaching, the children are more receptive than the adults. Children are children. So when Naimah was at school, in fact, when I had Malik is the one with cerebral palsy, from the time I used to bring Malik to school, so from the time I reached, the children would be at the door waiting to receive Malik on the wheelchair. I remember they pushing Malik and he fell off and he bawled, whoa, let's do it again. It was exciting. When Naimah was at school, the children did not even treat her any way different. Even in our class setting now, if we have children that who are different in some way, we educate the children. We do lessons, we sing songs, we play games, and then we see the children, they play like normal. I think we adults create this separation, but they are like normal. I mean, when they grow a little older and they recognize differences, they will ask questions. And when they ask questions, we now have to be able to answer and answer them in such a way that we won't make anybody feel bad or bring down any child or anything. But education is always the key. We do a lot of lessons to teach children about our friends who are differently able or living with a disability, our friends who are Down syndrome. When we had Rock Your Socks Day yesterday, almost everybody wore their socks, including teachers, because we support that. So the children are a little bit more receptive, especially me in the infant 1 class. You know, I deal with the babies. So the babies are like clean slates. So they come in and you can mold them and they just interact with each other in a clean way, in a fair way, in a loving way. Teach them to love each other despite our differences.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Alexander. Viewers, at this time we'd be taking a very short break. Please stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit with Naimah and her mom as well. So stay tuned and remember to share the life, share the life, share the life.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
All right. Welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are still chatting with, we are still talking about World Down Syndrome Day. We are still here with the teacher and mom of Naimah. Mom, I want to come back and ask you, given that Naimah is your daughter, what was your reaction when you found out that she was a special needs child?
Well, at first, it was sort of hard to deal with,
Right.
But, as the time went by, everything just fell into place,
Yeah. And do you want to share some of the challenges that you would have had, especially finding out, dealing with society, dealing with her needs and so on?
It has been very rough, I must say. In terms of health-wise,
Right.
there's a lot of up and down. You have to deal with some of them. Society have it, I should say parents. There are parents that, I don't know if they are ashamed of having kids like that, but for me, it wasn't anything hard to do.
And of course, with the help of Miss here,
Sherma.
it became a lot easier.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Hi, Naimah.
I'm good.
Morning.
Morning.
So when you learned that you were going to school, how did you feel?
Good.
Good?
Yes.
Are you enjoying school?
Yes.
All right. What is your favorite subject at school, if any at all? What is your favorite thing to do in school?
In school?
Yeah.
TPs.
Huh?
TPs. From
No.
school.
Okay.
He's asking what you like to do when you go to school.
In school?
Yeah.
What you like to do.
You like to color, you like to draw, you like to... What?
Color.
Yeah.
Playing.
Okay.
Cook.
You cook?
Cook?
Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting. What do you cook?
Food.
Food.
Yes.
So you like
She likes
sweet
the kitchen.
things?
Really?
What kind of things do you like to cook?
To cook rice.
Rice.
Yes.
Oh, so you're a rice person.
So what do you cook at home? You help mommy in the kitchen?
Making puff.
Oh,
Puff.
puffs.
Yes.
Wow.
She
You know,
did
puffs
last
are very, very challenging to me. So if Naimah could make puffs, that
Yes.
shoe pastry, she's a little pastry chef that we have here.
Yes.
Very, very interesting.
Yes. The reason why I asked you the question, Mom, is because traditionally, we stigmatize, special needs children, and parents in the community usually look down on parents like yourself, because of how we are. And it's quite commendable how you were able to transition and be able to ensure that she has a taste of a normal life, right? My question to you, Miss, is, yes, it is easier to mold children, but do you see your perspective helping to shape the minds of the children in such a way that they could easily, accommodate Naimah?
Yes.
And what is your
I-
admonition to other teachers and even principals, and by extension, I would say the division of education, right, in training teachers to recognize and to sensitize and to and create an environment that is safe for our young challenged ones.
Well, let me start with the division.
And you could go all out.
Let me start with the division. I want to encourage them to act on referrals speedily, because many times we have children, as I said, I'm an infant teacher, many times we have children who are referred because of something we may have observed. Remember, we are not professionals in the field of special needs, so we cannot diagnose. We can observe, and then we take it to our seniors, and they would move accordingly. And many times we refer children, or we speak to the ones in charge, and the children will leave infants and reach standard 5 and still waiting to be assessed, still waiting to be acknowledged, because they do not have enough people to work along with the schools. I think in Tobago, it's just like about 2 or 3, I'm not quite sure, but it's for secondary and primary school. We need to have more professionals to intervene in these children early, because as an infant teacher, we are the ones who they would come to first. So early intervention is extremely important. And even with the children, there are things that our children who are living with disabilities or even with Down syndrome cannot do, and we are the ones that would have to assist them in doing it. So I remember when I had Malik, I had to actually take him to the washroom, and the children in my class at that time, from the time they recognize that Malik and I are not there, they will sit and be quiet, because we now molded their minds to, hey, we have to attend to them, we have to take care of them. So they themselves, if a pencil falls, they will take care of them. Naimah's mommy could testify to the fact that when she was in Table Peace, it was one of her best experience ever, because the children, we really educated the children to love, to care, to value them. It is important that we take care of them. And as a teacher, I would encourage other teachers to really give an open arm, open your arms to these children. They are human like every one of us. And although we would need the extra, we would need someone there to help us and encourage us and support us, because it's not easy, especially being in a big school like I am. I'm in a school with over 300 plus students. It's not easy, and teaching itself is difficult. And then we have our babies that need our attention as well.
And I don't mean to cut you quickly, and I want you to both quickly comment on something, because you have very short time and we won't have her to sing. Quickly comment on the inclusion in terms of her having the semblance of a normal life, to the extent that she's out in the world of work, right? Just like anybody else. I just want you two guys quickly comment on that.
Quickly, I'm going to say because of inclusion, and because she was exposed to what we will say, quote unquote, normal children, Naimah is so sociable. She can interact with any and everyone, as we recognize. She has the ability to do so much. And she's not only here, I also take Naimah other places. Like, we went and we sang at some studios and some. So, the inclusion is really helpful for these children.
Yes. Mom, what about you?
Well, for me, I carry her anywhere. And she loves to socialize. So she would talk to anybody. And, I mean, it's just a good experience. You just have to have them out there. Let them interact with everybody. Once you treat them normal, they start behaving as a normal person.
Yes.
That's the same.
And Naimah, you like to cook, but I heard that you also like to sing, and that you prepared something for us this morning.
Yes.
So, Naimah, you could go ahead and take it away and entertain all of our viewers this morning.
Okay.
Ready, Nai?
Yes.
3, 4.
Fire, 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 follow me. Fire, fire, fire,
fire fall on me. On the day of Pentecost, fire fall on me. On the day of Pentecost, fire fall on me. When you hear me singing, fire fall on me. When you hear me singing, fire fall on me. On the day of Pentecost, fire fall on me. On the day of Pentecost, fire fall on me.
Wow, amazing. We had the applause coming all over the studio. Congratulations, Naimah. That was really, really good.
Thank
Amazing
you.
job. You're welcome.
So she leads praise and worship in school, I presume.
But at this moment, she's at school for the deaf. So I believe that they have them singing and sing a lot.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for coming and chatting with us this morning. Viewers, that was Naimah, her mom, and her teacher. Naimah, this is your time to shine. We love you so much. See, she has a very, very pretty smile. Thank you for coming and chatting with us this morning. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
No problem at all. Viewers, at this time, we're going to take a very, very short break, and we'll be back to speak with Luke and Renessa. So stay tuned for that. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.